y'all doing tonight? I know it's probably about 7 minutes before Fyter Fest Part 1 happens, but I got my lazy rear end into this chair, got it all set up, pressed the start button. I'm here live. What is going on? This is the Club with the Man Nights 93, and I am here live for my live review of Monday Night Raw from this past Monday night, June 29th, 2020, at the WWE Performance Center. I cannot wait until one day when I don't have to keep saying that. But unfortunately, a second wave is coming around, so until then, it's stuck at the Performance Center. We're going to talk about this episode of Raw. I'm sorry I'm not reviewing it until today. I had to get up early Tuesday. Tuesday I was super tired after work. I had to go to the dentist office. I had to get my clean teeth. My teeth cleaned. My clean teeth. My teeth clean, if I can talk right. So, I was pretty tired yesterday, and I basically felt like doing nothing when I got home from work. That's why today, before I watched part 1 of Fyter Fest, I am going to be doing this review and also doing a turn alert as well. And if I have time later on tonight, because I'm not going to review Night 1 separately for Fyter Fest and Great American Bash. I'll just review both of them in one video. Save me some time, give me a little bit of a breather, and be able to, do some other stuff as well. So I watched Raw this week. Background noise was what it was. Some stuff interested me. Some stuff I didn't like. Especially classic booking of completely taking away momentum. We'll get to that momentarily. So we'll talk about that. Live chat, what we got? We just got Tyler saying this is a new wild card rule again. Not completely. Again, here's the thing. They're not bringing, tons of superstars to the opposing brand at the same time. Sasha Banks and Bayley, of course, have been going back and forth on both shows. Well, all 3 shows. But that's because they're the women's tag team champions. So, by all means, they're supposed to be on all shows, defending the brand, defending the belts, the tag titles on all shows. So that I can forgive. So I don't think the wild card rule is back. Like I said, we have the brand-to-brand invitation, but they really have not done anything with it at all. Really. Well, not really. Besides having King Corbin come over to Raw to fight Drew McIntyre. Holy moly, the greatest thing ever. And Charlotte was on all brands. Much better than what we got from before. Thank goodness. So, yeah, we got that. Anyways. So, sorry, I had a couple messages I wanted to peek at, but I can't right now. So let's talk about the show. We opened up with this very messy double contract signing. This was way overproduced. What in the name was the point of all this? We started off with Samoa Joe in the ring, already trying to restore order, because Bayley and Sasha Banks are beating the living crap out of Asuka. Okay. Joe calms everybody down. Dolph Ziggler comes out. It gets on the microphone and introduces Drew McIntyre. And he says, I see, it's double contract signing for both main event level singles titles on Raw. Ziggler asks where McIntyre would be without him, and he answers that he'd be scratching and clawing obscurity, lays out a vision of their match where he survives everything Drew throws at him, blah, 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 basically saying that he can survive Drew McIntyre. Drew comes out and says, there was a time where they were like brothers. Family is always honest with each other. He went through hell to become the champion he is, and the biggest reason of his journey is that the game is more mental than physical. He says Dolph needs the title because he's never been center of attention. He's dreamed of being, which is true. Well, he did get the title. Again, Dolph's biggest crowning achievement, of course, was him cashing in Money in the Bank night after WrestleMania 29. And he was champion until they put it back on Alberto Del Rio. Don't like that name. Especially what he did to my girl Paige. Anyways, I have too many. Anyways, let's talk Don't get me started. Deonna Purrazzo. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm getting a little out of hand here. Ziggler always drops the ball before the finish line. Drew's going to make him do it again. He's going to do him a favor because they're family. He's going to let Ziggler pick the stipulation of the match. And then Asuka randomly starts yelling at him, and then they all sign the contracts, and Sasha says that she's not the same person Asuka faced before. Yeah, that match she had goes to back on the Raw after Royal Rumble 2018, where Sasha took that really horrible bump, could have gotten severely injured or worse, dead. She's gonna become 2 belts Banks at Extreme Rules. When she and Bayley are both double champs, they'll take over the whole company. And then Bayley's like, this is gonna be a horse show. And then now all of a sudden that's what Extreme Rules is their tagline. Before it was the greatest greatest wrestling match ever. Now we're getting Extreme Rules, the horror show. Because Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman are fighting in a swamp match from right here. I don't know, who knows. And then of course they start brawling, and then Ziggler goes to super kick McIntyre, but it doesn't work as McIntyre goes for the kick, but then he gets out of the way. Sets up for a mixed tag match main event. Champions versus challengers. Overproduced. I mean, again, I know, once again, Sasha is on SmackDown. Asuka's on Raw. I like the idea of the match. Again, I can forgive it because Sasha is allowed to go to all brands because she is the champion that defends titles on all brands. So I'm okay with that, but this stuff with Dolph and Drew, I'm just not digging. Like, if they wanted to make it into a set for a match on Raw in the main event, fine. But a pay-per-view match with a stipulation? Really not feeling it. I still feel this was supposed to be Drew and Jinder. I really do. And honestly, even though it would suck, it would at least make a little bit more sense because, Dolph and Drew, they did their business last year. Whenever they first split up. They did their business then, had like a on Raw feud. But as far as a pay-per-view feud, especially with Dolph Ziggler, again, can't even freaking keep his credibility straight. I mean, I don't want to see Dolph and Jinder either, but it's a dumb story to basically, just push over or whatnot. But I think that's probably what we would have gotten if we wouldn't have gotten Dolph and Drew, and if Jinder didn't get hurt again, because apparently he has another knee injury. But hair in my mouth. Anyways, so moving on now. Oh boy. Let's talk about these two. Angel Garza and Andrade Cien Almas are backstage. Garza's trying to bribe Jessica Carr with a rose. And then of course, when Andrade and Zelina roll up, Carr leaves, and an interviewer rolls up. They'll be next in line for a title shot after they beat the Viking Raiders. Ha ha ha! Big Show rolls up and says he's pulling rank, and he'll be next because he has some issues with Randy Orton. So, Big Show goes out to call out Randy Orton, reminds Orton that he is a legend, but then out came Almas, Vega, and Garza, and Big Show says he's not in the mood to play. Almas then says Orton questions Show's legend status, and he says he's got boots older than Garza, and reiterates that he's not in the mood. Garza says it doesn't really matter what Big Show is, he's going to learn what the Street Profits will soon realize. But then Big Show cuts him off and says he wants to fight, come on. But then Zelina gets on the mic and says her boys are going to do Randy Orton a favor. They surround the ring and tease get into a fight with Show, but out comes Ric Flair, which once again, why is Ric Flair at 71 years old in a very dangerous environment like this right now? Yeah, just for viewers. Just get viewers. It's not working because people don't think he should be on the show. It's not safe. He tells Zelina he knows how much respect he has for her and her boys, but he needs to have a word with his old friend Big Show. Orton will come when he feels like it. He's backstage. And if Show keeps it up, Orton's going to be a bigger and better legend killer. Until then, he gives Zelina and her boys his blessing to have fun at the Giants' expense. So then, the Viking Raiders came out and saved Big Show from getting beat down. So then we have Almas and Garza take on the Viking Raiders in a decent match. And Almas and Garza win. They still tease some tensions with Garza and Andrade, but even though it's done basically, they were fighting all of a sudden. It's like, hey guys, let's work together. Okay, we can do that. All of a sudden, just like very scripted. So, it looks like things are starting to patch back up, right? Makes sense. Just wait till we get a little later on. Just you wait. So then, we have R-Truth. Well, first we had Ruby Riott backstage. We were shown what happened with her and Liv Morgan last week. Ruby asks, when the Iconics roll up as Ruby's trying to call Liv again, Ruby asks the Iconics who was it that blew their tag title shot against Sasha and Bayley, which gets each of them all defensive. Ruby wants one of them to wrestle her so the other can pull their pal to the back when she's done after beating the crap out of her. And she's teasing she's going to say it, but she didn't. Then she didn't tease it, then finally she goes, "Iconic," and walks away. And we had a match between them later on in the show. I'll get to that in a little bit. R-Truth then defeated Akira Tozawa for the 24/7 title. There was a backstage also with Flair, Vega, Garza, and Almas. We'll get to that a little bit later on. It's basically saying, come with me, I have an idea. So Truth beats Tozawa. Afterwards, Tozawa's ninjas try to go after Truth, but he evades them. Backstage, we see Lashley and MVP. Lashley says disrespect to MVP is disrespect to him. He doesn't want MVP offered Apollo Crews another shot at sitting under his learning tree. MVP says he's not going to. The offer is dead, but he wants to give him a few more pearls of wisdom as he takes everything away from Apollo Crews. And of course they walk past Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy, no Austin Theory, ruh-roh. Seth's holding onto one of Ray's masks and says his most important message is about to happen and he has to deliver it right now. So, I like this segment. Well, I did up until the very end. Well, with everything that happened with this. Seth Rollins comes out and says, last week, Rey Mysterio and his son Dominic made a very heartwarming return to Monday Night Raw. They stood here and said nothing is going to stop Rey from returning to the ring. And he believes that with all his heart. So does Rollins, because Rey has a duty to uphold. The problem is, Rey hasn't been seen too clearly, making reference to his bad eye. His duty is to his family, but his duty is actually to be a sacrifice for the future of Monday Night Raw. He's given Rey every chance to take the easy way out, but he's been defiant at every turn. What Rollins has to do now is so important. He says, Rey, I need to ask you for forgiveness. Not for what he's done in the past, what he's going to be forced to do in the future. They're bound by fate, and as fate would have it, he is the Monday Night Messiah, and Rey is meant to be a sacrifice, so he's forced to take a piece from him, and little by little tear him apart until nothing is left of Rey Mysterio. Appears Rey and Dominic on the screen. Rey asks forgiveness, but not to Seth, to Dom, for what he has to do to Rollins to avenge his eye. Dominic forgives him, but says he's never going to forgive Seth, and he'll never forget what his father has to do to him. Then out comes Rey Mysterio's henchmen, Aleister Black and Humberto Carrillo. Rollins says he was hoping to run into Aleister and Humberto, but before he puts them out of their misery, he wants to know why they keep fighting for Rey, when Rey won't fight for them. He's a fraud and a coward. But then, only person that talks is Carrillo, and so says that Rey isn't a coward, Seth is, and this is for his people. Sets up for a tag match, decent tag match with Aleister Black and Humberto Carrillo taking on Buddy Murphy and Seth Rollins. So good back and forth action, some chaos towards the end, but eventually Seth Rollins and Murphy win with a curb stomp from Rollins onto Humberto Carrillo. They then continue to beat both of them down. They first beat down Black, but then Carrillo makes a save before they can spike him into the steps. But then Murphy grabs onto Carrillo with the steps. Rollins then grabs a mask, the Rey Mysterio mask, and puts it on Carrillo. He tells him he looks just like his idol and directs Buddy Murphy to drag him over to the steps. And they're just about to pierce Carrillo's eye before Black makes a save to return the favor. And then it was just like, it looked like, they were just about to literally, take out Carrillo. Because the story's writing itself here. It's very obvious. Well, let's get to the finish in a second. So they start the brawl again. And just out of the blue, Rollins hits this really, I don't say weak, but it just seemed very anticlimactic curb stomp on Carrillo, who just didn't really sell it that good, in my opinion. And they invade. So, obviously, the story here is going that Carrillo, it's setting up for a 6-man tag match at Extreme Rules. I'm still saying tornado tag match. Obviously, it should be Rey Mysterio, Aleister Black, and Humberto Carrillo taking on Seth Rollins, Buddy Murphy, and Austin Theory. But obviously, I'd say it's probably going to be Carrillo. He's going to get written out of the match, and Dominic is going to be replacing him for Dominic to have his first, actual, match. Well, again, he was involved in the No Holds Barred match with Brock Lesnar, but anyways, so I don't know. It's like, I just felt like that curb stomp. I mean, I love the curb stomp, but Seth's done that one. How many times do people just steal steps? And two, it didn't seem like Carrillo really sold it too good. Like, he's laying there like, come on, guys. It didn't look like it affected him that much. Like, it didn't look like it, destroyed him. You didn't feel that, oh my gosh, he's out. It was just like, oh, he just curb stomped him. It just felt really anticlimactic. Like, they could have done something else if this was the way to, write Carrillo out of the picture. You know what I mean? But, so we had that, which was good up until that curb stomp. Then we have Asuka and McIntyre being interviewed, saying how Dolph Ziggler is looking to get an advantage on Drew, but he's just having some fun. Gives Dolph the pick stipulation. He has no excuse when he loses, and Asuka says that Dolph isn't ready for Drew. We also get another tribute to The Undertaker. Basically the same stuff from the recap from SmackDown. Then backstage, we see Lana trying to talk to Ruby Riott on friendship, on something Ruby Riott isn't having. Says a woman pulled her out of her depression last week, a woman with more wins than anyone in modern wrestling history, Natalya. Because Natalya's a heel now, I hyped her up a little too big. Ruby Riott then loses to Peyton Royce. So Ruby Riott's turned babyface, yet she's losing to Peyton Royce. Let's talk about that when I do the turn alert. As far as what I think of Ruby Riott turning face, it could be a good thing, but also be a bad thing. We'll get to that in a little bit. And then we have Big Show backstage. He talked about how he grew up with Ric Flair as a hero, and how he welcomes Randy Orton to come to try and find out why he's the Big Show. As far as Andrade and Angel go, they're not getting the friendly, happy Big Show. They're getting an angry giant, as I keep saying. So here's where I rant a little bit here. So, again, this whole stuff this whole stable with Andrade and Garza has really tanked. Especially because, all they did was nothing but lose ever since WrestleMania. So, all of a sudden, they're like, oh, we can work together now when Zelina Vega says so. They win that match with the Viking Raiders. I'm like, okay, starting to patch things up, working good. Then on the same night, they feed them both to the Big Show. Big Show, just like an hour after Garza and Almas get a great victory over the Viking Raiders, obviously getting ready to probably have a match with the Street Profits, Big Show squashes them. And just like that, Garza and Andrade fall apart again. Overproducing! Squashing momentum! And I'm at a point I'm like, just split them up. Just split them up. You killed it. You were patching it together, then you just went right back to the drawing board again. Who thought this was a good idea? Who thought this was the right way to go with this storyline? Definitely not me. Just a way to do filler. because they're going to do Big Show and Randy Orton Extreme Rules. Who cares? Sorry, I don't. So yeah, we have that. Backstage, we have Apollo Crews, Ricochet, and Cedric Alexander. Jeez, I wonder where those guys have been. Oh, that's right. Nowhere ever since they got squashed by Shane Thorne. They lost to Shane Thorne and Brendan Vink. So I don't know who the heck Brendan Vink really is. R-Truth rolls up, says he thinks he's finally evaded the ninjas, but he suspects his friends are going to take his 24/7 title. But Cedric reassures him they're not a ninja, and Truth switches to putting Richard O'Shea over as his favorite superhero, and he runs away. Then we see MVP and Lashley come out again. Lashley prompts MVP to enumerate the reasons he's teaching Apollo Crews a lesson. When he's gone home to the 305, people ask how they can be like him. He says he can inspire them, and none of this matters if you can't give back. That's why it's a joy to help Lashley unlock his limitless potential. Some folks take a heartfelt gesture and ignorantly reject it, and then it brings out Apollo Crews. When one of the longest reigning U.S. champions of all time offers to mentor you, you don't reject it, he will not be disrespected. Apollo comes out and says he means no disrespect, it's just he's a self-made man, and MVP cared about anybody but himself. He would have listened when he turned down his services the first time instead of pushing and pushing. The only person MVP truly cares about helping is himself. MVP says, I admire that, but Crews really doesn't want him as an enemy. Which MVP took on Apollo Crews in a non-title match, and he beat Apollo Crews. Now, normally, again, I would hate that. I would hate when seeing champions lose clean. But one, Apollo's been winning matches with a little, tactic here and there. We're not to tease that heel turn. But it's the fact that, MVP actually defeats him after, rattling off his reputations, and then he wins. See? That starts to plant more into that heel turn. That starts to give Apollo more doubt to think that, maybe he starts to get Apollo to think maybe he does need MVP. He starts to fall under that dark cloud. So I was fine with that. Afterwards, Lashley gets in and attacks MVP. Crews first attacks MVP, but then Lashley makes a save and locks in the full Nelson. But then Ricochet and Cedric Alexander get in the ring to help pry him loose. And then Ricochet and Bobby Lashley actually had a pretty good match. I liked the match they had, and I watching the match, it made me kind of think of like a match with Mustafa Ali. Again, Mustafa Ali, we haven't seen him for months. I don't know when he's going to be back here. I'm still pretty sure he's supposed to be the hacker, but that storyline got scrapped. But Ricochet, I felt really came across as Ali in this match. He took a lot of nasty bumps. I don't know how he kicked out. He kicked out of Lashley's Dominator. He got airplane thrown into the post. He took a lot of nasty bumps, and Lashley just dominated, fast-paced, just destruction in this match. And Ricochet still fought like a champ. I thought this was a really, really good match. Lashley, though, would eventually win. Afterwards, Lashley also put in Alexander with the full Nelson as well to take him out. And then, of course, Bayley and Sasha made fun of Dolph Ziggler for no reason. And then we had the main event, the mixed tag match. Match was what it was. And then Dolph Ziggler and Sasha Banks win with a bridging pin from Banks onto Asuka, and that's how the show ended. C+ for Raw this week. A couple things I enjoyed. I definitely did not like the stuff they did with Angel, Garza, Andrade, and Almas. Just getting everything taken away by the Big Show. That was just so dumb. But that's Raw, guys. That's all I gotta say. Live chat. What do we got here? Let me see here. Asuka better not lose that title to Sasha, or he'll be pissed. And just bring your countdown list back again. I don't know when. Why is Orton facing Big Show? Who knows? And Big Show buried them pretty much. That's going to do it, guys. Again, I'm not going to review AEW or NXT this week since this is their 2-night shows. I will review both of them, both shows for both nights for both shows next week. So kind of give myself a breather. But I will be giving a turn alert soon for Ruby Riott. And I'll also still try and do it. And I almost did the other night, but then my computer started acting up. do the first part of my next Harry Potter Let's Play. So until then, guys, what are your thoughts on Raw? Leave thoughts down in the comment section below. There's always a slap like on the video, subscribe or comment on my channel, and follow me on Twitter at DemandAir23. Check it out, guys. I'll catch you all later. Peace out, everybody.
No